in honor of the opening of Your Name in the US, I thought I would take some time to teach how I braid cords. It's relevant to the movie because Mitsuha's grandma talks about braiding cords and how it's symbolic of musubi, connection, how time and people interact and are connected, whether you're sharing some food or tea with your little sister, or, spoiler alert, not really, or braiding cords and sharing those, or watching a movie together across the world. That's a connection. So I thought it was a beautiful analogy, and I would teach how I made cords when I was like 10 years old. It was a long time ago. So you're gonna need some yarn, some thread, embroidery thread, and I got a few colors here. First, you have to pick, for the way I braid, 5 colors. I've heard you can do any range of numbers. I think you have to have an odd number though. Maybe you don't, but I've heard 5, 7, and 9. But with 10 fingers, it gets trickier and trickier. So 5 is how I learned it. That's how I'm going to teach you. You pick your 5 colors, and let's see. I'm going to start with my messy spool because any good crafter is going to have a bit of a mess in their kit. Not that I'm a good crafter, but I will play one on TV. All right. I know these 2 colors are in the film for sure. And what you're going to want to do is pick a length that is double what you'll need to wrap around your wrist. So something like that. That's even a little bit long, but that's fine because you'll see once you get to the end of it, it's kind of tricky to finish. All right, so 5 colors. Those ones, I'm going to use this golden one, Lasso of Truth color. Wonder Woman! And then, you know, I think there's a blue in the one in the film. So I'm going to grab some of this blue. Oh, maybe I can just pull it from here and make less of a mess. Hey, I'm a genius. I'm learning already. All right, that's a good length there. And that's 4. I need a 5th. Too dark. You know what? I'll do like a 2-tone blue thing. I think that'll be kind of snazzy. All right. Boom. All right, so from here, you take all these lengths and you tie them together. All right, now the hardest part for me is making sure these aren't super tangled when you get started. So I'll comb through here, think I'm fine, and then I'll have to comb through again probably. All right, so that's these. Now, you tie them in a knot. Pretty simple to do. Boom. Boom. This is why cutting it just a little bit long is actually really helpful because you're going to lose the length of the end. Oh, come on. There goes my career as a Boy Scout. All right. And knotted. Okay, still long enough to be a bracelet. Cool. Now, what I usually did was tape it, pin it to my jeans, but in the interest of being able to show everybody how this works, I'm going to tape it to the table. So, got some surgical tape. You can also loop it onto whatever, like a tree, or hook it on anything you've got that's stable. Okay, and if you're a hairy dude like me, that's going to be an issue. Can you make a wish on those? Or is that just eyelashes? Anyway, all right, now divide up your 5 colored threads in your fingers, and you're going to turn your hands into a loom. Now, all right, boom. So because it's an odd number, you're going to have 3 on one hand, 2 on the other. Now check this out. You take the free hand, or the free finger, on the hand with 2, and you run them, as long as the police don't catch everything, through the inside of these threads and then over the last one on top. Then you pull that one through and then you give it a little yank. Then you swap the 2 fingers from the previous hand that had 3 threads and now has 2 up to the top 2. Then use your open ring finger to go through the other threads and over the top one, and then back through and pull it tight. Swap up 2, through, over, and pull. Swap up, through, over, and pull. It's pretty easy, and you get to the point where you don't even have to look anymore. The other thing to consider is, depending on how tightly you pull this, you don't have to go crazy tight, but if you go more wide and tight or towards you and tight, will affect how the braid looks. It's either going to look more tight or more long. You end up with like this sort of houndstooth braid where one goes into the other, and they look kind of like arrows, like they're pointing. So they're either going to be more long arrows or sort of steeper angles, and that's just an aesthetic thing. So the thing about this is you can end up going pretty fast. Oh, one more thing to consider. While you're going through, and over, if at any point you want to split this braid and maybe try to slide in a bead or do something else design-wise, you can go through, and through again, and then pull it from the bottom. I'm not going to do that now because I don't want to split it up. But if you do that, you'll end up with two braids that are in parallel and a hole in the middle. It's kind of cool for making, maybe if you're really clever about making clasps, you can do that and give yourself something to loop through a button or some other kind of clasp to fix the bracelet on later. I usually just tie these on my wrist and it's fine. But you can see that you can go pretty quick as long as the tape doesn't pull out, and in no time you got a bracelet. Boom. Then maybe we do a whoa. That was almost catastrophic. Boom, 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 boom. So I thought it would be cute to record here because, like Taki's favorite cafe in the movie Your Name, this place has exposed beadwork and puppies. The thing about pulling it at the bottom is it's good to be consistent, and the thing to keep in mind that I learned over time is as you get closer to completion and your threads are getting shorter and shorter, you end up just sort of naturally changing the angle that you pull. So it's good to sort of keep a mental note of exactly what your angle is so that you can compensate as your threads get shorter and you don't end up with it looking bunchy at the end. But as long as you do it just a little bit tight, and not crazy tight, I mean, I'm not pulling the tape out of the table. If I was going crazy tight, it would pull out of the table. Something actually kind of relaxing about this. And when you're done, you have something really personal to give to someone you care about, which I think is the best part of it. That's musubi. Now I'm sure there's a really clever, crafty thing to do at the end of this with making these loops into an end, but all I ever did as a 15-year-old boy was tie it off in a knot. Now if anyone has a better suggestion, please send a follow-up video and teach us your way. That's musubi. Basically everything's musubi. I feel like if we're breathing the same air in the same room, that's musubi. It's like the force. It flows through all things. All right. And there's your braided cord. I'm just gonna tie it off now after one more pinky weave. Okay. And then you can snip this or do something with it. And boom, in no time flat. Super total custom weave bracelet. And you can give it to someone you care about. All right, this one's a little short for me, which is fine, because I'm gonna give this away. I'm gonna call my friends at Funimation and see how they wanna give this out. Maybe at a convention, maybe at a screening, but I hope you guys like to film Your Name and you make these and give them to people you care about.